Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Johnny TCG video. I'm Johnny TCG. I'm happy to see you here today. And today we're talking about one of my favorite starter deck leaders in the entire game, and that is starter deck 14 Monkey D. Luffy. This black leader got pretty popular when he first released. I believe it was at the end of OP07, maybe at the beginning of OP08. Either way, the point is that he was a popular leader for a bit. A lot of people went to him, even though Lucci was still very popular. Of course, Gecko Moria was a valid option as well, but a lot of people found success, including myself, with this leader. Unfortunately, it kind of fell off in OP09. It just was undeniable that Lucci was the best black leader in that set, at least for the most part in the meta. I haven't played him in a while, but then when I heard the bans, that Gecko Moria's banned, that Ice Age is banned, it reminded me of this deck, and I wondered, is there still something there? Of course, he's got a very unique leader ability that allows him to be 6,000 power base, and I do think that is a very interesting and unique mechanic that could help him win some games even in today's meta. Now, I don't claim to have crafted the perfect deck, but I do think there is potential there. Maybe it's not me, but someone is going to be able to craft a really strong deck list. I can just tell. I really do think this deck has a lot more potential than people realize. Of course, getting rid of Gecko Moria and Ice Age hurts this deck a ton. I'm actually missing Ice Age way more than I'm missing Gecko Moria. At least in my current build, I always felt like Ice Age is just that one card I was missing to pull off some really strong plays. Gecko Moria, on the other hand, you can live without. Of course, we do have some other big body options that are solid. Of course, we have Jack. We've got the 8 cost Isho that's going to probably be more relevant in the current meta with black decks. And then we even tried testing out the 10 cost Kuzan from OP02. This is a big body that doesn't really see play in the current meta, but I gave it a shot in this deck, and we'll see how it does later on. In today's video, we're going to do a deck breakdown. We're going to take a look at the leader and some of the cards I put together in this list. Then, of course, we've got a giveaway. In just about every video, we do a giveaway here, and today I'm giving away a custom starter deck 14 leader. You're going to want to check that out. And then, of course, after that, we're taking this deck to the sim, seeing how it does, and then talking about it afterwards. If you like the videos, consider hitting that like button and subscribe button so you never miss another upload. For those that don't know, starter deck 14 Monkey D. Luffy is 5 life, 5,000 power, and then he has the ability of Don times 1, give all of your characters +1 cost, and then if you have a character with a cost of 8 or higher, give this leader +1,000 power. This is during your turn, this is during your opponent's turn. I think this really created a lot of unique situations where by having bigger bodies on the board, you're able to not only be more offensive because your leader's going to be stronger, but also on the defensive end, that was a really helpful power up, especially when he was popular in the meta. Starting off, we got 3 of the 3 cost 4,000 power Brooks from EBO1. 1k counter is a very nice touch. Brook has the on play and when attacking of giving -1 cost to one of your opponent's characters and then KOing up to one of your opponent's cost 0 characters. This is a great way to remove bodies, especially in the Blackbeard matchup where they're going to be negating some of your on play effects. That -1 is also a helpful touch when you're trying to get bodies down to lower cost, so you can hit them either with Brook or with other characters like Jack. Next, we're going to take a look at the 4 cost 5,000 power Laboon from EBO1 as well. This has 1k counter, which is nice, but then he also has the effect of activate main. You may rest him and then give one of your opponent's characters -4 cost. In a post Ice Age format, this big cost reduction of 4, relatively big, is going to be really helpful, especially getting rid of some of those bigger bodies on the board. Getting his value instantly the turn you play him is also a very nice touch. If you're not a big fan of the 4 cost Kuzan, or maybe you don't have them, I don't think that swapping 2 Kuzans out for 2 Laboons is a bad idea. Arguably, it might even be a better idea, just because you get that value instantly. Looking at the 4 cost Kuzan, we do run 2 of him. I really love this card, even though some people say it's a bait card. 4 cost 5,000 power isn't anything crazy, but he has the on-play ability of being able to draw a card, which is always a nice touch. Then he has the when attacking ability of giving one of your opponent's characters -4 cost during the turn. Sometimes it does feel weird establishing on a turn that is not 4. If you don't see him on curve, then sometimes he doesn't feel the best. But I'm still testing him out and running him because when you can establish him and keep him on the board, he's going to be a very nice body, very strong ability, and combo perfectly with some of your other cards. For 2k counter Suru, this is the perfect definition of a 2k with utility. Sometimes you're going to play her out, sometimes you're going to keep her in her hand and just counter with it. Either way, you're happy to have her most of the time. So we've got two of the 4 cost 5,000 power Borsalinos from OP02. As you'll see in this deck list, there's a lot of 2-ofs. This deck can definitely be cleaned up a bit. I think after the games, we're going to see which cards we can and can't take out. I like Borsalino in this list. I definitely think he could be bumped up to a 3-of, just because in that Blackbeard matchup, he can be helpful. Of course, Blackbeard does have ways to get around it, but in the event that he doesn't, he's going to be strong and annoying for your opponent to deal with. For those that don't know, Borsalino is a blocker, and then on your opponent's turn, he has 2 abilities. The first is that he gets plus 1,000 power, making him a 6,000 power body. Very strong, very helpful. And then he also has the ability that he can't be KO'd by your opponent's effect. Note that is only during your opponent's turn, so if they get a trigger perhaps, they can KO it with that ability. Next, we've got the big boss Kuzan, 10 cost, 10,000 power. He's got 2 abilities. The first is during your turn, give all of your opponent's characters -5 cost, then on play KO a cost 0 or less character. If you can establish him, you are going to probably win the game. The question is, will you be able to establish him safely and not play anything else during your turn? Just throw this big body down. If you can do that, you're probably already in the lead, but it might solidify your lead. If you can't do that and you play him down, you'll be punished for it because you could have or should have established other characters with more helpful effects like Rebecca or Borsalino blocker. Now, he's not the greatest top end in the game. I don't even know if I prefer him over the 9 cost Kaido from OP08. That Kaido is an absolute beast, and I do think he works pretty well in our deck as well. But I've been having some fun with him. I'm not sure if I'll keep him in for a final build, a more refined build, but at the time I'm rocking with him and he's alright. Any more than 2 though, that does sound a little crazy to me. 2 of the 8 cost 9,000 power Ishos from OP03. He's got the on play of if your opponent has 6 or more cards in their hand, you get to trash 2 cards from their hand. That is huge. And then of course he's got the Don ×1 effect of giving all of your opponent's characters -3 cost. Now while this card is amazing, especially if you can establish him alongside a Jack, there are times where I feel myself not playing him just because I can get better value with other characters. For example, if I already have the Jack established, I probably would rather combo Nico Robin with the Jack as opposed to establishing the Isho. I do think there's arguments and a time and place for it, but I'm not exactly sure yet. I'm still figuring that out. I think 3 might be a decent idea just for the consistency's sake, but at the end of the day, he is searchable and you can always filter him out of your hand with Jack if you have one on the field. 4 2 cost 3,000 power brand news. This is simply a searcher looking for Navy type cards. You look at the top 3, take 1 and then put 2 in the trash. Unfortunately, putting cards in the trash used to be a lot better because we could bring them back with Gecko Moria. No Gecko Moria means no bringing back cards from the trash for the most part. In this deck list, of course, I am running a Navy package, and that's why I'm running a brand new searcher. But if you weren't running the Navy package, if you were running the Animal Kingdoms Pirates package perhaps, then maybe you wouldn't go with brand new. I mean, you definitely wouldn't go with brand new. We're running 2 Rebeccas. I think this definitely should be bumped up to 3 or 4, just because even though she's not as good as she used to, because she used to be able to get comboed with Gecko Moria, she can still bring back cards from the trash and cheat out bodies from your hand, which is at the end of the day just really decent. 0 power does get her popped pretty easily by a variety of decks, but I do think she's worth having in the deck. Right now we're only running 4 blockers and I think that's not enough. I think we need a little bit more. 3 of these 7 cost 8,000 power Jack. In my opinion, the best card in the deck. He's got the ability of +4 cost, so when he's on the board he's got 11 cost, which is insane. In a post Ice Age world, he is going to be impossible to get rid of through cost reduction means. Through other means though, he will be able to be removed from play. You'll see that in the video. Then, of course, he's got the ability of activate main. You may rest him, you draw a card, trash a card, and then pop a cost 3 or less. If you can establish him on curve, you're going to be in a great position for the most part. 4 of the 3 cost 4,000 power 2k counter Tashigis from starter deck 6. Here we have some more utility 2ks where you can either use her as a 2k counter, or she has the activate main. You get to rest her and then give one of your opponent's characters -2 cost. This is a great way to lower the cost of your opponent's characters. -2 isn't really a lot, but when you do turn her sideways, she is going to kind of act like a blocker because your opponent's going to want to deal with her ASAP. 2 of the 3 cost 5,000 power Hina from starter deck 6. I think this could be bumped up a little bit. Not having any counter is a little bit of a bummer, but -4 cost on play is so strong. You can cheat her out with Rebecca too. I think one change you should definitely make to this deck list is maybe bumping up Rebecca and Hina so you can play that combo out more often. I really like her in this deck. No complaints at all here. Bump her up. Next, we've got 4 of the 5 cost 6,000 power Sanji from starter deck 14. Probably one of the best cards to come out of this starter deck on play. If you have a cost 6 or greater character, KO one of your opponent's cost 5 or less characters. This card is so good on curve, and you can even combo him late game with cards like Nico Robin that are minusing the cost of your opponent's big bodies. Looking at Nico Robin, she's a 6 cost 7,000 power character with 1k counter. On play and when attacking, if you have a character with a cost of 8 or higher, give one of your opponent's characters -5 cost. Her being a 7,000 power body is really annoying for your opponents to try to deal with in the mid to late game. Of course, once they start dropping 10 cost characters, she might be removed relatively easily, but in that mid to late game, she can be very valuable, especially when comboing her with Sanji or Jack or some of the other KO characters, even Brook. I think the new Hina from starter deck 19 is a perfect fit for this deck. A 4 cost 6,000 power stat line is very strong in general, but what is really strong about her is her 2 abilities. The first one is that Dawn ×1, she gets +4 cost on your opponent's turn, making her really annoying to remove. Then she's got the activate main. Once per turn, you may take a card from your trash, put it to the bottom of your deck, and then give 1 rested Dawn to either your leader or one of your characters. This is great to give it to her so she can use her ability. It's also great to give to your leader, and giving Luffy +1 Dawn makes his ability active, which if you don't have the Dawn available for it is perfect. You can use that every single turn and not have to worry about perfectly allocating Dawn. This is one of the cards that I've been having the most fun with in my newest iteration of this deck, and I would highly recommend you give her a shot. Next, we're running 3 copies of Soap Sheep. This should probably be bumped up to 4. For those that don't know, Soap Sheep gives -2 cost to 2 of your opponent's characters in a post-Great Eruption, post-Ice Age world. We're taking all the cost reduction we can get, and Soap Sheep is a great option. Only 3 definitely doesn't feel like enough. Let's get 4 in there and change the deck list a bit. I was running 2 Tempest Kicks, the 1 cost event that allows you to draw a card, and then if your trash is at 10 or more, you also get to give -3 cost to one of your opponent's characters. Now, the thing is, I just wasn't able to fill my trash enough to get that 10 cost minimum for this card, and for that reason, I don't really think this card needs to be run in this deck. If there's a better way to fill your trash that I'm not thinking of, then yes, I think it's viable, but for the most part, I was only using it as a draw 1, and that just doesn't feel good. Last but not least, we are running 2 copies of the stage from starter deck 14. 1 cost, 1000 Sunny, is a very good stage. It honestly should be bumped up to 4, at least in my opinion. It's got the on play of letting you draw a card, which is a nice thing to do, especially if you're on the odd curve going first. Then its ability is that it gives all of your black Straw Hat Crew type characters +1 cost. If you have a Dawn on your leader and this stage out, you have +2 cost to all of your black Straw Hat Crew characters. That is going to be really hard for your opponent to deal with. If they're a black deck or a blue deck that are really trying to pop your characters based on cost, that is a great strategy against it, and I like it. I think this should be bumped up, especially since we're getting rid of 2 Tempest Kicks. And that's the deck list I got for you, folks. It's definitely not perfect. It's definitely not the best, but let me tell you, it is definitely a great time. I can tell you that much. I have a feeling other people might try to cook with this leader too, or hopefully I'm crossing my fingers, and then maybe I'll revisit this deck once I hear some feedback. I would love to hear your feedback in the comments below about what changes you think I should make to this deck list, and maybe I'll implement them. Before we get into the gameplay, of course, we've got a giveaway. We have a giveaway in just about every single video. Today, we're going to be giving away a custom starter deck 14 leader using art from the One Piece Treasure Cruise game. I am not the artist. I am not selling it. It is just a fun personal project of mine. All you have to do to win this custom leader is 1, leave a like, and 2, leave a comment. If this video gets 20 likes in the first 24 hours, I will send it to 1 US-based commenter completely free. All you have to do, 1, leave a like, and 2, leave a comment. It's as simple as that, folks. If you want to stay up to date with all the giveaways, consider hitting that subscribe button down below. It helps out the channel a ton. I really appreciate it. And with that, let's roll the gameplay. Our first game of the day is going to be against a Black Rob Lucci from OP10. After the bans, he definitely got hit hard, but he's still going to be a decent leader. I don't want to understate how good Gecko Moria and Ice Age were in the Lucci deck, but hey, that's just the way it is now. Rob Lucci just has a generically good ability, and I'm not going to be surprised if he sticks around in the meta. We'll start off a 5,000 power swing on our second turn. We did establish that stage card on turn 1, and then we're going to play out the Tashigi 2K, a 3 cost 4,000 power body that allows us to rest Tashigi and then give one of our opponent's characters -2 cost. Not an amazing card, not our best card to establish on that turn, but what I do like about it is they're going to have to use resources if they want to get rid of it. If they don't get rid of it, then we'll be able to combine it with another one of our cards like Jack or Sanji and pop one of their bodies with no Gecko Moria, they're going to be limited on the amount of cards they can bring back from the trash, so they're not going to have endless resources to minus our cost. They're going to do a finger pistol to get rid of it. That is perfectly fine with me. This is exactly what I'm talking about, folks. We got a finger pistol to be used on a 3-cost Tashigi. That's very good in my opinion, getting it out of the way and won't be able to hit a bigger body of ours. We did use that Tempest Kick. Tempest Kick, as I mentioned before, I don't love in this deck. I really just used it to draw a card and see what we could get. They're going to start with a Soap Sheep to bring down my Tashigi to 2 cost, then swing 6,000 at us with their leader. 4 Don left up, we're going to see something that could probably pop our Tashigi. They're placed in a weird position because with 4 Don left up, whatever they play, they're going to play the Rob Lucci to pop the Tashigi. But if they did not pop that Tashigi, I would be able to get rid of the Rob Lucci with a Jack and Tashigi combo. And so they were kind of forced to remove that Tashigi using a Soap Sheep, which I'm sure they would not have ideally played that Soap Sheep so early to get rid of such a small body. It's also because we had a Don on our leader and leader ability that Tashigi was a 4-cost and not a 3-cost. If it was not for that extra cost, they would not have needed the Soap Sheep. We're going to establish this Jack and then just pass it back to them. 8 Don, I'm happy that they're not going to play a Gecko this turn because of course they cannot. RIP Gecko. We could see maybe a 8-cost Isho here. I'm not exactly sure what new Rob Lucci lists are going to look like post-ban. I'm sure everyone on the sim right now is testing out different lists, seeing what works for them. They're going to play 3 Don for Spandine. The Spandine combo finally not being played in a Gecko Rebecca play. So happy to see that. Now they're going to play the Khalifa off the Spandine, and this is alright with me, folks. I am okay to let them establish maybe like a lower to the ground board. I think a 5-cost Sabo would be really good here. They're not going to be able to remove my Jack. I don't think there's any way they can remove my Jack this turn. 5,000 now with their leader and our leader. I think that countering out of this isn't the worst idea. And so I'm thinking about getting rid of this Nico Robin, though combining Nico Robin next turn would be really helpful. 6,000 at us now with Rob Lucci. The reason I didn't want to take that first 5,000 leader swing is because then if they throw a bunch of down on Rob Lucci, they would be able to get 2 hits on my life that turn, which I was not really happy about that idea. 5 Don now still for them to work with. A 5-cost Sabo would go absolutely crazy just because then they'd be immune to all my KO effects, whether it is Jack or maybe I play another card. For 5 Don, they're actually going to hit us with the OP10 5-cost 6,000 power Rob Lucci. This Rob Lucci is really interesting. It forces your opponent to trash 1 card from their hand. I'm thinking about getting rid of that extra Isho. Of course, that stage I could have gotten rid of too because we already have one, but that stage does allow us to draw a card, so I'm thinking that Isho, there's probably not a high chance I play 2 Ishos for the rest of this game, so might as well get rid of the Isho. 9 Don for me to work with. I'm going to start with the 5,000 power swing into their leader. My intention here was swinging into their leader, hoping they'd take it, and then playing down the 8-cost Isho to make them trash 2 cards from their hand. In hindsight, though, I think maybe just swinging into that Khalifa would have been a not too bad idea because they do counter out of that attack, and now I am stuck with kind of my plan B. My plan B is not bad at all, though. I'm thinking I'm going to do Sanji and pop their Rob Lucci. Maybe I swing into their rested Rob Lucci. I have a couple different options. We'll start with the Sanji play, popping their active Rob Lucci. Now I'm going to play the stage card again just to draw into something, ideally counter or blocker or something. I don't love the lack of counter I have in my hand right now. We're going to play brand new, search for a Navy card. We will take that Hina, which could combo very nicely with our Jack. Now I'm thinking about swinging into this Rob Lucci with my Jack. I'm debating on whether or not I want to add a Don to my leader to get leader ability during my opponent's turn, so I have an extra 1,000 counter on defense, or give it to that Jack to ensure I can get rid of this Rob Lucci. I decide to be a little risky, swing 8,000 with my Jack into the 6,000 power Rob Lucci. They do not counter out of that, which is exactly what I hoped for, and now I'm going to pass it back to them. I'm a 6,000 power leader, which feels great. 6,000 at us now. We can give them a 2k. That feels kind of bad. I don't think they'll throw Don on the rest of their cards to swing big into our life, but just in case, I will 2k counter out of that. Man, does it feel scary not having any counter cards in hand. For 9 Don, they do have the Stussy, which is probably a card a lot of black decks are going to play now. They're able to pop my Jack. We're in a little bit of an awkward position here. 10 Don to work with, so a 10 cost Kuzan doesn't feel bad here, but I would love to get rid of this Stussy, and yeah, I don't really think there's any way for me to do that. The only card I have in my hand that can KO bodies is Jack, and there's no way for me to reduce that Stussy in range of the Jack. RIP Ice Age, I wish I still had you. For 4 Don, they're going to have the Kaku from OP07. This allows them to put cards at the bottom of their deck and then give a character -3 cost, which they'll do to Sanji. They'll swing 7,000 now into, I assume, our life, perhaps? Yeah, 7,000 into our life. It feels so bad having to take this, but we will. We get the 4-cost Hina, which doesn't do us any good in this situation, and then they're just going to play down the 4-cost Rob Lucci. They'll be able to pop our Sanji. This is actually a big brain play because that prevents us from swinging into it, which we would have liked to do with the Kuzan, because right now with all of their characters standing, we don't have any way to clear their board, and if we can't clear their board and we don't have any blockers in hand and only 3k worth of counter, they're just going to be able to swing into our life very easily. So now I really need to decide what to do here. It's really not a great position for us to be in. The uncomfortable truth is just that I need to go for game here. I'm going to start with 7,000 with brand new, which, you know, Rob Lucci doesn't play a lot of 2Ks. I'm not going to be surprised if we can actually pull this off. 7,000 at them. They'll let that hit. Please don't give me false hope. And they actually just concede. I was going to then swing 10,000 with Kuzan, and I believe I had 6 left up to do 12,000 with leader because of leader ability, of course. So we got the job done there, but it was certainly a close one. Our next match of the day is going to be against a red purple sugar, a new leader from OP10, a leader that not a lot of people are talking about. And honestly, I don't really know how to play this matchup. I haven't played against many sugars on the sim, but it is certainly a welcome change up from all the meta decks we find there. I'm going to start off, I'm on the odd curve, and I'm going to do a 5,000 power leader swing. With their event, they're able to search for a Don Quixote Pirate card and add it to their hand. They'll take the Viola blocker and actually use it straight away as counter. Then for 3 Don, we do have our Brook from EBO1. We can play that down, pop their sugar, and I really like having that out early on in the game so we can get value from its when attacking. Unfortunately though, that did not last long. They do have a new event, God Thread, to pop the Brook, and now 6,000 at us with their leader, and we will take that, getting the 2k counter Tsuru. Now 5 Don for us to work with. I'm thinking maybe Hina could be the move here. Sanji doesn't really get us a ton of value because it's not popping anything, and Hina is just such a great card in this deck. We'll swing 5,000 with our leader at first. The reason we're swinging 5,000 is we're leaving a Don up to play on Hina just so that she can bump her cost up. I'm not exactly sure what sugar deck list run, but if they have anything that interacts with cost, I want to make sure that I am protected. For 8 Don, they have the Don Quixote Doflamingo from OP10 that also cheats out the 5-cost Rosinante from OP10 as well. That is a really strong combination, and now they're able to set Don back up as active. While it is tempting to establish a 7-cost Jack here, I am going to go with the Sanji play just to guarantee getting one of their characters off the board, that being Rosinante, the 5-cost character. Unfortunately, Doflamingo's out of reach for us. We're going to start with the 7,000 power swing with our Hina. They will take that, and we'll follow up with the 6,000 power swing from our leader. They will counter out of that, and we'll just play Sanji, pop their Rosinante, and then pass to them. 10 Don for them to work with. Establishing a card like 10 Shanks right now would be brutal. They are just going to play out another 5-cost Don Quixote Rosinante, trashing an event from their hand. They're able to draw 2 cards. Now they're going to swing big with their Doflamingo into our Hina. Of course, we got to let that go. Then they'll follow up with an 8,000 power swing into our leader. We will take that. We do get the Tempest kick, but unfortunately we can't use its trigger. Nothing to KO there. Pass it back to us. They're able to restand 3 Don, and now we've got 9 Don to work with. I'm thinking here we probably establish a Jack and Tsuru and get rid of the Don Quixote Rosinante. That seems like the move in terms of what I'm thinking. We're going to start with a 6,000 power swing with our Sanji into their leader. 3 Don still left up. I don't think they're going to take this. I imagine they're going to counter or use an event. They do use a 2k counter. Now 8 Don for us still to work with. We do have 1 on our leader. I'm thinking we do Tsuru into Jack, popping that Don Quixote Rosinante. The Jack will give us a 1,000 power boost to our leader, which we absolutely love. With Jack, we'll draw 1, trash 1, and we're going to trash the extra Jack in our hand. Now swinging 7,000 with our leader into them. 2 Don event, they're going to return 1 Don to their Don deck and give minus 3,000 to Luffy and Jack. That was Hell's Judgment, a really strong event card from, I believe, OP10. 8 Don, they do have another Don Quixote Doflamingo. With the Doflamingo, they're able to cheat out the Viola blocker. Now they're going to swing 6,000 into our leader. I'm going to take this, but I don't think I would have been crazy to counter out with my Nico Robin either. Of course, I did get one for my life, and so now I'm like, wow, I really should have just countered that. Now they're going to swing 9,000 at our Sanji. We're going to let it go. And now we're in a little bit of an interesting position. Ideally, we get at least one of these Don Quixote Doflamingos off the board. I doubt I'll be able to get both of them off the board. We'll start off with a Nico Robin, the 6-drop from Starter Deck 14. I absolutely love comboing her with Jack. We'll minus the cost of their 8-cost standing Doflamingo by 5. Then we're going to use Jack's ability to pop it. We're going to trash the Isho from our hand at this point in the game. I don't think he's going to be that helpful. We have 3 Don left to work with. We are going to use Tempest Kick just to draw a card to see what we can get. We do draw the 1,000 Mary. We're going to play out that stage and we get to draw a card, but we only get a Soap Sheep, which isn't super helpful right now in this moment. We'll just swing 8,000 into their leader. I wish I would have been able to swing into that Don Quixote Rosinante, but it doesn't really make much of a difference because they are probably just going to block with that Viola anyway, and that's what they do. Viola's on KO ability allows them to draw a purple event card from their trash, which they will do, and they will draw Hell's Judgment again, that counter card that's really strong. 10 Don for them to work with. I'm really nervous about like a 10-cost Shanks here. I think that would just be so strong. They'd be able to get rid of my Jack relatively easily, and yeah, I think I'd be in a lot of trouble because I just have no way to answer that. It looks like they either don't have a big body to play or they just want to put us to 0. They're going to start off with a 9,000 power swing into our leader. Even though we could counter out of it with a ton of cards from our hand, I really feel like we need to take it just because we want to save that counter in case they swing into the Jack, perhaps. Now they're going to swing 10,000 into our life. I'm thinking we just take this as well. We get a 2k counter to Shigi, which is very nice. They leave 5 Don up. Probably have a couple different events in their hand. And wow, this does feel a little bit bad. I'm definitely a little bit nervous that I won't be able to finish the game right here and that they'll play a Goldie Roger and I just won't be able to do anything about it. We're going to start off with a 7,000 power swing from our Nico Robin, minusing the cost of their Doflamingo by 5. We'll be able to pop that with Jack this turn, which is awesome. They are going to use Hell's Judgment again, minus the power of Nico Robin and our leader. Now I can just rest Jack and then KO that Doflamingo. We're going to draw the Sanji from Starter Deck 14. I don't really think that's super helpful right now. We'll get rid of the Isho though on the cycle just because I don't think Isho is really that helpful either. I'm looking at cards to possibly bring back with Rebecca and I don't really see any amazing options. Hina could possibly be an option. We could get Brook back, which also isn't a bad option. I think Brook might be the best option just because he does have 1k of counter and I might want to keep that in my hand. The question is how much do I want to swing for here with my leader? If I want to swing with him at all, I do want to at least add a Don with him just so that I can get that plus 1,000 bonus. We're going to add 6 Don to him and just swing really big. We're going to swing 9,000. I'm choosing to put pressure on them this turn with my leader instead of developing another body like the 5-cost Sanji. I think that's the right play, but let me know down in the comments if you think establishing a body would have been a better play. We're going to play down the Rebecca with the remaining 4 Don. I'm tempted to take back that Hina, but I think I've got to take Brook just to have that extra 1k of counter. I am really nervous about a Goldie Roger play from them. I'm not even sure if Sugars run that, but if they do, I might be cooked. I'm counting up my counter right now. I could play down the brand new, and look for a 2k counter, but I don't know if that's worth it. I think keeping that 1k counter is better, so I will keep the brand new in my hand, not playing out that Brook either. They do not have the Goldie Roger. For 5 Don, they will play out the Rosinante. They trash 1 event card from their hand, draw 2 cards. They've got a Bon Clay, which is definitely an interesting choice. 6,000 at our leader now. We will definitely 1k counter out of this. I'm in an interesting position this next turn. They only have 1 life card left. They're going to be able to set 2 Don as active though, and I'm really wondering if I should go for game here or just try to be a little bit safe and clear their board. I think I'm going to start out with a Nico Robin swing. I'm debating on if I should give a Don to her or not, getting her to 8,000 so that Hell's Judgment can't make her attack invalid completely. They'll have to give me counter 2. I decide I'll give her a Don, swing 8,000. I could have also played that 10-drop Kuzan and been able to pop both of their characters between Kuzan and Jack, but I decided to put pressure on their life. Instead, 8,000, they do have the Nora Nora Beam Sword, which allows them to rest my Jack, and now I am forced to go for game, I think. Or at least if I don't go for game, I really got to clear their board. I am in a good position to do so, though. They will also use the Hell's Judgment to minus the power of my leader. That is really unfortunate. I'm thinking here I do Sanji and Brook to clear their Rosinante and their Bon Clay, and then just hope for the best. Hope that they don't run like Goldie Roger. I am probably scared for no reason, because why would a Sugar run Goldie Roger? But I don't know. With OP10's new, I don't know what the deck lists are running. I've never played against a Sugar. That's not true. I have played against Sugars before, but just not very often. We'll start with the Sanji popping their Bon Clay, and then with 4 Don left, we'll give 1 Don to our leader. Even though it doesn't do much for us this turn, it will give us a 1000 power boost on our opponent's turn. We'll play down the Brook, pop their Rosinante, and just hope for the best. 10 Don for them to work with. They are actually going to tap all 10 Don, but it is for the 10 cost OP9 Shanks, which they'll swing into our life. We will just easily block this with Rebecca, who's at a power of minus 1000, and that is GG's. That was like a close one, you know? I'm not sure if they run Goldie Roger, but if they did, that would have been a little bit awkward. GG's though. On to the next one. We've got a game against the new OP10 Yellow Kid leader. We are going to choose to go first. I think with this deck, I really do like to go first. On turn 1, we often can play the 1000 Sunny, which is a play I like. We get to draw a card and establish that stage. Then, of course, playing Jack on curve feels so good. That card is so annoying for our opponents to deal with. We've got 3 Don. They didn't do anything with their 2 Don. I'm debating here if we should go Branu or if we should go Tashigi. We'll start with a 5000 power swing from our leader, which they will take. Luckily, there's no trigger. And then for 3 Don, we'll play out good old Tashigi. Passing it back to them, they've got 4 Don to work with. They'll start with the 5000 power swing with their leader. We'll take that and get the 10 drop Kuzan, which could be very strong in this matchup. These matchups tend to go into the late game with Kid playing some big bodies, and Kuzan will be a great way to deal with that. We'll swing 5000 with our leader. We do get that Jack, which we can play next turn, which is amazing. Unfortunately, it is a trigger. They can play down that 3 cost 5000 power OP10 Zoro. While that is unlucky, we do have our 5 cost Sanji to pop their Kikunojo, and since we're not at 3 life, the Kikunojo's effect does not trigger. Now they're going to swing 5000 with their leader. I'm thinking we counter out of this one, and if they swing with their Zoro, we take that. No need to protect my life too crazily. Honestly, I probably could have taken both of these swings. For 6 Don, they're going to trash the top of my life with the 6 cost Nico Robin from OP09 anyway, so now we're down to 2 life, 7 Don to work with. I'm thinking here we play Jack and then pop the Zoro. I would love to be able to get rid of the Nico Robin, but unfortunately Tashigi only minuses 2 costs, so we won't be able to reach that Nico Robin with only 7 Don. We'll start out with a 5000 power swing from our leader, now a 6000 power swing with Sanji into their leader. Hopefully they don't have another 2k. They do, but that's honestly not the worst thing in the world. Getting some 2ks out of their hand feels great for us. Now we'll play down the Jack. We're gonna cycle out Isho, but I don't think I could have gone wrong with another 10 drop Kuzan. I do have 2 of them, so maybe 2 is overkill. Isho can sometimes be an awkward card in our deck just because it feels weird to play it if we're not getting that on play effect. 5000 at our leader. We will counter out of this with a 1k. 6000 now with Nico Robin, and we're going to counter this with a 2k just because I know an 8 cost Eustass Kid is coming that's going to be able to rest itself and trash one of our life cards. And now they are going to use Kid's ability, the leader, to restand their 8 cost Kid as active as a blocker and then flip the top card of their life. Now we know that they do have a Satori at the top of their life, which is good to know because we don't really want to swing into that and have them play it out as another body to potentially go for game. For 6 Don, we will play down the Nico Robin, minusing the Eustass Kid again. We'll rest our Jack, cycle a card, pop the Eustass Kid, and now I say we just swing into the Nico Robin to clear their board. I think that's the move here. We're going to throw 3 Don on our leader. We get that plus 1000, and we're going to go 9 into 6, and they let it go. Now we're in an interesting spot. They have 3 life cards, which is, of course, more than us, but they don't have any cards on field. They could have a 10 drop ace, which will get them another life, but we're in a really good position to clear whatever they do throw down. They will play down the 4 cost 6000 power Kikunojo, which is really strong in this situation, and then a banish Onami really catches me off guard. 9000 into our life, and unfortunately we can't counter out of this, so we're just going to have to take this and the card will get banished. It's another Jack though, which really isn't the biggest deal in the world. Now they're going to pass it back to us, and we are in an interesting position. We can remove all their characters from the board, but we don't have a blocker, which is kind of a big deal, so maybe we just go for game here. I think that might be our only option. We'll start with a 7,000 power swing from our Nico Robin. I'm actually hoping they use this trigger and trash a card from their hand because, of course, we know we're going to lose next turn if we do not win this turn, and Satori is a 2K. They will not use the trigger, so now I know at least one of their cards is a 2K counter. I've got to calculate now what the best swing combinations are. Next, we'll do a 7,000 power swing with Sanji. I understand one of their cards in their hand is a 2K, but let's see what other cards we can get out of their hand. They give us a 2K, 1K. Now we'll do 7,000 with Tashigi. This has to hit if we want to win, and we'll actually throw another Don on there to get to 8,000. It will hit, which is great news, but the bad news is it's a Basil Hawkins trigger, meaning they get to draw 2, trash 1. They get rid of the secret rare Trafalgar Law from their hand, which of course does not have any counter. 3 cards in hand after that cycle makes me very nervous. Our next swing will be 9,000 with our Jack. Do they have the counter? There is still hope for us. They will take that. 4 cards in hand. Can we get a 10,000 power swing through? Please do not tell me it's another trigger. They are considering it for a while. It's a Kikunojo trigger, which doesn't help them at all in the situation. Now we're going to do 10,000 with our leader. They would need to have all 2Ks in their hand. They have one 2K, they've got a 1K, and then that 10 cost secret rare ace. That's all she wrote, folks. GG's. Now on to our last game of the day, and it's going to be against a OP9 Blackbeard. This is going to be an interesting matchup. We've got a lot of activate main and when attacking effects, so I don't think we're going to be really ruined against Blackbeard, but we'll see how it goes. Our stage and our leader ability are going to make it a little bit harder for them to pop our characters using KO effects, which is very nice. They're going to start with a Lafitte, do a search, and find that this is my age searcher. Passing it back to us for 3 Don, we're going to start off with the 5,000 power swing into their life. I'd imagine they'd take this, get that card in hand from life, but they will counter out of it with the 4 cost Shuryu. Then we're going to play down the Brook. They did not use leader ability, so we're able to pop that Lafitte with our Brook. 4 Don for them to work with. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Jesus Burgess here, but they will actually start with the This Is My Age searcher. They do find their 10 cost Blackbeard card, which will be annoying later on in the game. Then they'll just swing 8,000 at me, and we will take that. Not too worried about that. 5 Don for us to work with. I'm thinking here we swing with our Brook, swing with our leader, and then establish a 4 cost body. I'm not sure if that should be Laboon or if it should be our Borsalino. I think you could make a great argument for either. Borsalino would help us protect our life a little bit, but Laboon would be able to help us set up a play where we're able to pop one of their bigger bodies they establish. They're going to be at 6 Don. I don't know if Blackbeard has any standard 6 Don plays. We could see a Kuzan, we could see a Jesus Burgess. Both of those cards can't be popped by effects though, and so if they play out one of those, the Laboon's not going to do me a ton of good. So I'm going to go with the 4 cost Borsalino, the 6,000 power on my turn and can't be KO'd by effects. 6,000 into our Brook. I'm thinking here that we block and then counter with our 4 cost Borsalino, keeping that Brook alive because that Brook's when attacking ability is so strong, especially in this matchup where they can turn our on play abilities off. My suspicion was right. They will play down the 5 cost Kuzan, using Kuzan's ability to draw a card and then playing that 4 cost Shuryu from their trash. That Shuryu's able to pop the Brook, which is unfortunate. RIP Brook, you did well, buddy. And then they will use leader ability, trashing a card of Van Augur from their hand. Now I'm going to give a Don to my leader probably, but it feels bad. I'm not going to be able to pop this Shuryu with the Sanji like I normally would be able to do. I'm debating between establishing that Nico Robin. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll start out with a 6,000 power swing with my leader. They will 2K counter out of that, and then we'll play down the Nico Robin, who between leader ability and the stage is an 8 cost right now, so she should be hard to remove if they try to remove her through various means. They're going to be at 8 Don here. They'll start with a Hachinosu, aka Full of Lead Island play, playing that down, then giving 1 Don to Shuryu, swing 6,000 into our leader. I'm thinking here we should give him a 1K, or we can take it, but I think I'd rather give him a 1K. We do end up taking it though. We get a brand new, which is not going to be good for us at all. 6,000 now with their leader, and yeah, we definitely want to give them a 1K here. We do not want to go down anymore in life cards. 5 Don for them still to work with. Are we going to see another Kuzan? That would be a little bit annoying. They do have that Jesus Burgess in the trash that they'll be able to play out, and I bet that's what they're going to do. Yep, Jesus Burgess, that is now at 7,000 power and cannot be removed by effects. Wow, that is going to be really strong in this matchup. I do not have any way to get around that. I think on this turn, ideally, we have an Isho or a Jack. Unfortunately, we do not have either, so we're going to go with the Hina play, using her ability to give a rested Don to our leader, or her. It doesn't really matter. We'll give a Don to our leader, powering him up by plus 1,000, which is very nice. We're going to really want to remove this Shuryu. Unfortunately, they do have the black hole effect on right now, so I cannot use Sanji to do that. So I think I'm just going to swing big, not going to bother establishing another character like Laboon. even though that wouldn't be a terrible idea. It would actually be a great idea, but I just want to guarantee I can get that Shiryu off the board. I probably should have swung at it with a smaller amount, like the leader swing first, but it is what it is. Now I'm just going to give my remaining 2 Don to my leader. I don't think it makes sense to play a brand new if I can't get his on play effect. 9,000, they will take that, and then unfortunately they have the good old finger pistol trigger to pop my Borsalino. I think this was a very big turning point in the game. Getting rid of my unKOable blocker during their opponent's turn, at least, is so strong, especially a 6,000 power one at that. Another body to attack with, and now they're at 10 Don, probably going to drop the 10 cost Blackbeard, and that they do. They will be able to negate my leader ability, putting me down to 5,000, then prevent my Nico Robin from attacking next turn, which is absolutely huge. 5,000 out of Snow with their leader, which we will counter out of, and then will they swing with the Jesus Burgess? It'll be an 8,000 power swing, which I'd have to give almost all the cards in my hand to get out of that. It's now going to be a 9,000 power swing because they will use leader ability, trashing a Shiryu from their hand, and it is not looking good for us. 9,000 now with their Jesus Burgess. They're going to swing into the Nico Robin actually, and I don't think there's any real point to saving her. It's the illusion of choice, ladies and gentlemen. In hindsight, I definitely should just let her go, and that is what I end up deciding to do. Now they're going to pass it back to us with a giant blocker on the field. We do finally get that Jack, but it is not very helpful at all in this current situation because Jesus Burgess cannot be KO'd by effects, and that 10 cost Blackbeard is just too high of a cost for us to KO without an Ice Age. RIP Ice Age. We're going to start off by giving 1 Don to our leader, then swing 6,000 into their life. I don't think this is the correct play. I think maybe just going all out and putting a ton of Don on my leader and swing into the Jesus Burgess might have been the move. But again, this might be the illusion of choice. I don't feel like I'm in a good spot here at all. I think I might just try to go wide here, playing out the Laboon and then playing out Asanji as well. We can use Hina's ability to put a card in our trash and then give 1 Don to her, making her a +5 cost, which is very nice, but I do not think we're in a good position at all. 10 Don, another 10 cost Blackbeard hits the board. They're going to use the Blackbeard ability to prevent Laboon from attacking or using his ability as well, which is going to make removing any characters really difficult, if not impossible. 5,000 now with their leader, and I think giving them the 6,000 power Nico Robin as counter is the move here. There's not much we're going to be able to do. Swing back into them though, regardless if they swing with their other 10 cost Blackbeard. 9,000 now with Jesus Burgess. We will take that. Then the question is, are they going to swing with this other Blackbeard? They will, and we will take that. Now we do have 3 swings. They've got a 12,000 power blocker. It is not looking good for us. They use their stage to cycle a card. They draw Stronger, which is a 2k counter. 4 cards in hand. They'll trash Event Augur to use leader ability, preventing our on play effects, and I think that's just going to be the nail in the coffin for me. I'm going to put a bunch of Don on my leader, swing 11,000 at the Jesus Burgess, but even if they don't block with Teach, they probably do have the counter for it. They will block with Teach. I will swing 6,000 at their life. At this point, it does not matter, though. They're going to 2k out of that. I'll swing 6,000 with Sanji, and yeah, this is just going to be GG's, folks. They got another 2k counter. We'll play down the Borsalino blocker as if that would make a difference. They hit me with the GG. You know it's bad when they hit you with the GG before they even swing for life. They'll use Stage here, which I guess is just to power up the Jesus Burgess even more, even though there is no way I survive this anyway. A third Blackbeard hits the board. They'll swing for 5,000. We will counter out, even though it's futile. Maybe they'll mess up in their swings or swing into the wrong body. We'll take the 12,000. They'll swing 10,000 and we can get out of this. And with their final Blackbeard swing, that'll be game. GG. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the games I got for you today. What do you think about this leader? I'll be honest, he's a little jank, at least my deck list is, but I think he's really strong. He's got a very good ability that can translate well into a lot of different situations. I'm not done cooking with him. I will definitely find a better list and report back to you. I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments down below of how you think I can improve this deck list or other strategies to maybe make this leader more viable. If you haven't subscribed already, consider hitting that subscribe button. It's absolutely free and you get to stay up to date with all my latest releases. With that, I hope you've had an amazing day. I hope you have an amazing day, depending on what time you're watching this. It's late here if you couldn't tell. And with that, peace. Don't forget to subscribe.